Welcome to NTAI.TV, a program presented by Network Technology Academy, a training provider for Cisco, Microsoft, CompTIA, Adobe, Linux, EMC, Citrix, and VMware. NTAI is located in Somerville and Malden, Massachusetts. We specialize in cloud computing, cybersecurity, network, and systems engineering. Today's program is going to cover how to keep your computer healthy, because when you go on the internet, you are exposed to malware, spyware, adware. All these can cause your computer to become extremely slow and downright unusable. And to do this, Dan Langston, one of our instructors, is going to explain to you how to clean your computers.
Hi, my name is Dan Langston, and I'm here today to give you a tutorial on how to clean your PC. I'm going to start off with some wonderful Windows shortcuts that I think you'll really like. From there, I'm going to go into utilizing Task Manager. Then I'm going to go into msconfig. Then we're going to dive right into how to use the programs to clean up your PC. And then lastly, I'm going to cover a schedule of daily, weekly, and bi-weekly of basically of when to use these programs. So on that note, let's dive right into it. So I'm going to start talking about some wonderful Windows 7 shortcuts. Let's take a look at them. So on our desktop, and I'm going to be using some of these shortcuts today. For instance, I'm going to be opening up the computer. Usually you just double click computer, but there's an easier way. On your actual desktop, or actually your keyboard, there's a start button. If you hit the start button, you get the start menu. Hit the start button again, it goes away. If you hold down the start button, which has the Windows flag on it, I will call it flag. Flag E. Hold down the flag button, press the letter E, let go. Windows Explorer automatically opens right up. I like to use this because what if your mouse isn't working? Remember, we're dealing with a computer that is infected. It's running very slow, and we need to get this computer to work nice and fast. So what I like to do is I like to hit Flaggy a couple times, and instantaneously Windows Explorer should pop right up. Now if you want to, you can minimize all these, hold down the flag button and hit the letter M. Everything drops right down to the taskbar. Okay? So now if we want to open up some of those, we'll hold down the Alt key and hit the Tab and let it go, and now we can tab between the different programs that we have on here. I let go, it'll open up right to the last one that I had it on. So we have Windows Explorer here. Okay? Another thing that I'm going to be actually talking about here is I'm going to be opening up Task Manager. Now Task Manager, what we can do for that is we can right click and we can click on Start Task Manager. Let me do that. There we go. We'll minimize our Windows Explorer. Another way of opening up Task Manager is by these key combinations. Hold down the Control key plus the Shift key and press the Escape button. Let it go. Let go of all the keys. Your Task Manager is up. So I also like to multitask. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to also open up a utility called msconfig. We're going to hit the start button. We're going to type in msconfig. We're going to wait till the program comes up, hit enter, and there we go. This is the utility that we really want to look at, because we're going to look at the Startup tab. Under the Startup tab, you're going to see all the programs that are starting up at boot up. So the bottom line is we don't need a lot of these programs. Of course, in here, I'm fine. I could actually take out QuickTime if I wanted to. I don't need that to load up and boot up. And I could take out this program, which I'll be going over, CCleaner. So what this means is that when your computer boots up, it will not load up QuickTime in the background. All right? So we're going to click on Apply. We're going to click on OK. And of course, it's going to need a restart. We're not going to restart right now. So we're going to click on Exit Restart. Now, Task Manager. Okay, let's take a look at this here. So what can happen too is, even though you may not have a program running in the background that you'd see under msconfig, which you would see them right down here on the taskbar, click the up arrow and you'll see some other programs that are running in the back. Sometimes you'll see a whole bunch of programs that can slow your computer down, and spyware can also be loading up. But it may not be loading up. So what we want to do is we want to click on the Processes tab, and we will notice we have all these processes in here that are actually also running in the background. There's a lot of things happening on your computer. Normally, we would have it on image name. It puts everything in alphabetical order. What I also like to do is I like to click on performance. We take a look and see how our utilization is on our CPUs and also the utilization on our memory. The Processes tab. What is really good in here is you'll notice that we have some headings up here. We have image name, we have username, we have CPU and memory. We're going to click on memory. Now we have just organized all of the programs that are running in the background, not all of them, but most of them, and we're seeing how much memory each program is taking up. So this way, if you have a piece of spyware and it's running in the background, it's going to really slow your computer down. So what you can do is you can actually go in here and you can close some of these programs. You can stop the process. We'll go back to image name and we take a look at the programs here, and they're all .exe. So if you don't know what a program is, you can always Google it. Type in mom.exe, see what that's all about. Okay? So another thing that is good in Task Manager here too is sometimes not only application may lock up, but Windows Explorer might lock up. Okay? So when you go over to applications, you'll notice they're running, they're fine. But if it's not working fine, then it's not going to be in the running state. Okay? So what we're going to do is, let's say we're going to simulate that it was Windows Explorer. So we're going to come over here and we're going to click on Windows, the Explorer EXE, and we're going to click on End Process. And it asks us, do you really want to end Explorer EXE? Absolutely. We'll end the process. The desktop goes away. Okay? So now we're going to go to Applications because we want to have Windows Explorer running. We're going to click on New Task. And I've already typed in Explorer.exe before, so it remembers the last programs that you actually, or files that you actually stopped. So we're going to click on OK for Explorer EXE. And here we go. Our Windows Explorer and our desktop is back up. Axel, what do you think?
Well, I was thinking then that as a first-time user, if I were to purchase a computer, do you think I will be able to start cleaning my computers, understanding these functionalities, or is this something for much more for an intermediate user?
I would say that with these programs, they're really not that difficult to use, and pretty much anybody can run these. When I usually clean someone's computer, I generally show them how to use these programs, because I really think it's important for people to be proactive on their computer. Keep it nice and clean, because as you mentioned, you go on the internet and you are subject to malware, spyware. You could be going to a website where you have a hacker sitting on the other end, and as you know, once you go to a web page, you're actually opening up a pretty much a line through your firewall, and you're saying, I accept the web page on the other end. So it's kind of like a phone connection. If you say, you call, you talk to somebody, you now have a connection. Well, now you have a connection to another web page, and they can run background processes. And one thing that they like to do is they like to install what's called a keyboard logger on your computer. And a lot of good hackers out there will actually go in and they will disable updates for your antivirus software. So if you don't have your antivirus software up to date, it's not going to find anything going on, and then the hacker will know this, and then they'll install a keyboard logger on your computer that they know will not be able to be detected. And then anytime you type in your password for a credit card or whatever you're purchasing, or even online banking, which online banking is very safe. But if a keyboard logger is installed on your computer, they are going to get your information. So
this is very fascinating. I can picture a user trying to literally increase the performance of their computer systems just by watching programs such as this.
Absolutely.
And this is where this is becoming extremely helpful to a lot of viewers.
Why, thank you. I've actually had some clients of mine in the past of all the computers that I've cleaned up, and some of them have said that you know, it's not fun going on the internet anymore because their computer gets so slow. So that's why, you know, informative tutorial sessions like this are very helpful, because that's what the internet and the computer is all about. Is we want to go out there, have fun. We want to listen to music and everything.
Great. What else would you like to show us?
Well, I would like to start going into how to back up your profile. So let's get back here on the desktop and let's take a look at how to back up your profile. So we're back here on the desktop, okay, and we're going to open up Windows Explorer. As I mentioned, flag E will open up Windows Explorer instantaneously. Now, why do we want to back up our profile? Well, we have a lot of files on here, and I do want to reboot at some point, but the way I look at it is I don't want to reboot the computer yet, because I want to run as many things and do as many tasks on here as possible, so that way when I do restart the computer, if it crashes, I have the data, okay? So let's go take a look at your profile. So we're going to go into the C drive and we go to a folder named Users. In the Users profile, in the Users folder, we are going to see all the people that have logged onto the computer. Now right now I only have this one here named Win7. That's the actual logon I have. So I open up Win7 and I see all these subdirectories or subfolders in here. And the ones that I'm interested in are Desktop, Favorites, and My Documents. So the desktop is actually what you pretty much have here on the desktop. You save your resume, you save PDF files, Excel spreadsheets, pictures, maybe even some music on here. And so what can happen on here that is very interesting is when you get some bad malware, viruses, or spyware, this folder right here that is a profile named Win7, or it could be your name. So for me, of course, I would probably have Dan, but I decided to have it as Win7. What can happen is this profile can get corrupt. And if it gets corrupt, when you try to double click it, you'll see nothing. You'll right click it and go to Properties to see the size, and it'll have it as 0 megabytes. So that means that your profile is corrupted. You cannot access it. You lose all your data in there. So this is why I say let's back up the profile to our root of C, so that way we would be able to gain access to the data. We're going to open this up. We're going to click on Desktop. Now most of the times you're going to have your desktop, it's going to be very, very large. So what I like to do is I like to copy one folder at a time. The desktop folder, this is where the physical data actually sits, and what they do is they actually pointed this data to the actual desktop. Amazing how they do it. So we're going to highlight the folder named Desktop. We're going to click on Edit, Copy to Folder. We're going to go over here. We're going to click on the C drive. We're going to click on Make New Folder. We're going to name it the actual profile name, which is Win7, space backup, space profile. And we're going to put today's date. And today's date is the 22nd, so I'm going to put 08 22, whoops. And there's today's date. And we're going to hit the Enter key, and then we're going to click on Copy. And so now the desktop has, the whole folder has just copied right on over to that actual folder on the C drive. Let's take a look at that real quick. Make sure it actually has. And there it is, Win7 Backup Profile. Okay, so it is there, and if we double click it, we'll see there's a desktop folder. So now what we're going to do is let's go in and copy the other ones. We don't really need the downloads folder because typically you download something, you've opened up the file, you're all set. You could actually go in and delete things in your downloads folder so that way it doesn't get large and larger. We click on the favorites. The favorites is just going to be your Internet Explorer favorites. We're going to go down to Documents, hold down the My Documents, hold down the Control key, click on it once. We now have both folders highlighted. We're going to click on Edit, copy the folder, highlight our folder we wanted to copy to, click on Copy. There you go. It should all be copied there. We'll close this. Let's open up and make sure that our 3 folders are in there, and there we go. They're all inside of there. So our profile now is backed up. If the actual operating system were to crash on you at any point from this time on, it would not be a problem because there is a wonderful gadget that you can get that you can actually take your hard drive out of your desktop or your laptop, and you can actually hook it up and it will convert it from, most hard drives are SATA now, will convert it to a SATA, which is serial ATA hard drive, to a USB port. You plug that now into a USB port on another desktop or laptop. You will then get the next available drive letter to pop up, and you will be able to copy all of your data away. Now, one more thing I would like to point out is that I've copied these main folders right here, but don't forget that in your profile, you also are going to have your pictures and your photos. So remember, in here, we only got the My Documents, so we would get my music, we would get my pictures, and my videos. So now you would not lose any of your data. And then, if worse came to worse, you could wipe the operating system clean, load it all back up, all your software, and copy your data back into where they actually go. Axel.
Well, the more I am thinking about this presentation, Dan, I don't know if you agree with me, but I really feel that a first-time user, someone who just purchased a computer, might have a little bit of a problem trying to understand these processes. And first of all, I feel that they need to have a basic understanding of of what's known as computer basics, and then start learning the fundamentals of the operating systems and how to move folders. And probably at that time, will a first-time user be able to use those tools, because which is another thing I was thinking about is NTAI offers a CompTIA A+ class where they can learn all these tools and functionalities that will help them clean their computers. And this is a class that takes about 12 weeks, and at the end of which I feel that any user should be extremely competent in doing so.
Well, the tutorial is also on a basic and to intermediate, and of course, if you don't feel comfortable doing any of these tasks, by all means, you know, they could contact Network Technology Academy and definitely come in and take an introduction to computers course. That would definitely be helpful.
Right.
Watching this video a few times. Definitely will help too, but yeah, there are some times when you want to get the confidence up, and but I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who day in and day out, you know, utilizing different functions and complex functions on their computer, so that I think this will help out a lot of people out there. But yes, come on by.
I believe this is that would be the right approach.
Yes. Okay, so let's get back to the desktop and let's dive into some more things that we have here. Okay, so back here on the desktop, I've covered some wonderful things, basically like a pre-type thing of, you know, making sure that all of your data is backed up and you have access to it. And we've gone in, I've talked about msconfig, getting some of the startup programs out of there, take a look at the processes under Task Manager. So let's take a look at some of the actual software. Now, I've already installed the software on here, The software is very easy to install. You can take a look at the various check marks in there and decide if there's something that you want to take a check mark out of. The software, I have a lot of them right up here on the top of the desktop. CCleaner, Super Any Spyware, Malwarebytes, and this is the actual antivirus program that I like to use on here. So let's take a look at CCleaner. Now, when you first install CCleaner, and by the way, CCleaner is a program that allows you to clean up a lot of different things on your computer just by running this program. The main reason why I like this program is because this program is actually going to get rid of what we call temporary internet files. Every time you go on the internet, I found that every web page you'll get a cookie, and a cookie is a text file that remembers where you left off on the web page. You're also going to get a bunch of other files, pictures, GIF files, which are pictures, JPEGs, and it's typically 30 to 300 for every time you go to a website. It could be more. Now, all of those files sit there in your profile, and they do not go away. And they will accumulate and accumulate and accumulate to the point where your browser is going to be so slow, or if you want to say dog slow, okay? We don't want that. We don't want to sit there on a web page and say, loading, loading, really? When is it going to load? So what I've done here is I've taken check marks out of most of the program here with CCleaner, okay? I keep the check mark in for temporary internet files. I take out all the other check marks here. You could put them back in. You want to get rid of your history, your internet history, your cookies, whatever it is that you want to get rid of. Although, if you do delete all of your cookies, what can happen is if you have any websites that you log into, it will not remember the username. So if you have online banking and you don't have your username memorized, it doesn't remember passwords, then you'll have to go in and enter that information all over again. So, you know, it's up to you. You know, sometimes you don't want to get rid of all your cookies, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay, so all of this other stuff I get rid of. I come down here, never have your recycle bin checked off. You should go in and empty your recycle bin on your own, because if you deleted something and you forgot that you deleted it and you need it back, you can restore it. So the other thing is, don't delete your temporary files, all right? I like to get rid of them manually myself, and the reason why is because I've come across a couple of times in my career that a temp file was needed for a certain program, and now the program doesn't work after you've deleted it. So what you can do is you can actually, I like to back up the temporary files, and then I like to go in and delete the stuff that I know is safe to delete, okay? So we're gonna get rid of the clipboard, the memory dumps, and the check disk file fragments. Windows log files, please always uncheck that. If you delete your Windows log files, there are sometimes log files that are uninstall log files. And there are some programs, especially some older programs, that if you don't have the uninstall log file, you cannot uninstall the program. Okay? So you'd have to actually reinstall the program. But what if you don't have the CD anymore? Now you can't uninstall it. So that's why I say delete what is safe. We click on Analyze. It goes through. It is going to check for all of the browsers that you have installed on your computer. I don't have Firefox installed on here, but I would be cleaning up anything from Internet Explorer and Google Chrome, and then of course any other ones if you had Opera on here, if you have Firefox. It tells us up here how much was actually deleted, which is not a lot. We click on Run Cleaner. It gives us a kind of a disclaimer here. The process will permanently delete files from your system. Are you sure you want ways to proceed? Absolutely, because I know that all the things I'm deleting are safe to delete. Click on OK. It goes through. Now, if you have a lot of stuff on here, it's cleaning up. It's going to take a while. It could take a half an hour, 45 minutes to clean up all of this. But once you clean that up, it's going to make a big difference. What I like to do after that is I like to click on Analyze. It should be zeroed out. You should have nothing left because you deleted all that. So that is my CCleaner. I love that program. Next, let's take a look at Malwarebytes. Now, Malwarebytes, I really like this program because this program really gets rid of the deep-rooted malware, spyware that's on your computers. Now, your antivirus program is very important, but always keep in mind that it's not always going to pick up all the malware and spyware. So we need to use multiple programs to clean up our computer, and that's why I use these programs, because these really do a great job. How I look at malware and spyware, I look at it as an onion. Okay, we have different layers. We have the middle, which the Malwarebytes will take care of the really nasty malware spyware on your computer. The super anti-spyware will take care of the next type of layer. And then we have other small little programs that we could run that I'm not going to go over today, and will take care of the basically the top layer stuff. Okay, so in here we open this up, and the first thing we're going to do is we notice that we need to do an update. We're going to click on Update Now, and let's let this go do and update its program. While that's running, I like to multitask. Let's open up Super Anti-Spyware. Okay. Now, while Super Anti-Spyware is loading up, what we can do to facilitate this quicker is down at the taskbar we have, it looks like a little bug. All right. You put your mouse cursor on it, it tells you it's Super Anti-Spyware. Double click it, Super Anti-Spyware comes up, and we're going to go in here and we're going to check for updates for Super Anti-Spyware, and there we go. We have some updates coming up. Let's just click that one and get that out of the way. Okay. We're going to move this window out of the way. Let's take a look at our Malwarebytes. It's all updated because it's green over here. It was yellow before. I like to just click Update Now again just to double check and make sure that we're absolutely up to date. See how quick that was? It's all up to date. And here we go. You can't miss this. Scan now. There it is. It's going to start scanning. We're going to go over here. We're going to click on OK. It's Super Anti-Spyware is all updated. Let's go and check for updates one more time. And it's all complete. We click OK. We're going to come up here, top left-hand corner. We're going to click on Scan this computer. I like to do a quick scan from the beginning. The complete scan, if you clean up the things from your quick scan, most likely you won't get much from the complete scan. So let's get the quick scan going. So that way, because remember, we need to restart our computer. So if you do have a lot on here, you know, we want to get rid of this quick scan is going to get the most important stuff first. All right. So we have two scans running at the same time, which is absolutely fine to do. Okay. So also don't forget we have our antivirus program that we would also want to run and we would want to update. So Axel, do you have any thoughts?
Well, what I'm thinking is knowledge is really power.
Very powerful.
Not only that you are giving all these tools and functionalities that are programs that can be accessible for free, but you are also teaching and explaining how to use them. And any user that feel confident and comfortable in terms of installing all these free programs, taking care of their PCs, they are going to feel so comfortable using it. Now, you are also saving them a lot of money.
Yes.
Because I've seen people not only calling for technicians to paying up to $200 and sometimes more dollars just to perform those very same tasks.
Mm-hmm.
I commend you for coming here today and really explaining to our viewers how to use those utilities.
Why, thank you. These utilities are pretty much self-explanatory. You could always contact us, you know, if you had any questions. If you wanted us to work with you on this, we would be more than happy to. Also, you can also send me a personal email if you'd like to, you know, ask a quick little question or you'd like to comment. And my email address is danpcman1@gmail.com. So go ahead and drop me a line and tell me how much you like this. So anyway, let's get back here. So we notice here that Super Anti-Spyware is all done. We're going to click OK for scan results. There was nothing found with Super Anti-Spyware. Now, one thing I'd like to point out with Super Anti-Spyware, what you're going to find most of the times, they're called tracking cookies. All right? And Malwarebytes does not scan for tracking cookies. What are tracking cookies? Well, it's basically, as I mentioned, a cookie is a text file that remembers where you left off on the website. Advertisement. Businesses are tracking where you're going on the internet. So you go and you do a search for a car, for shoes, whatever. It's going to remember that, and then you go to certain websites, the browsers, all of a sudden a pop-up will show up on the side of your web browser and showing you some stuff that you could buy. Well, these are tracking cookies, and you can get a lot of tracking cookies, and yes, it can slow your computer down a little bit. So that's why I like them. And the Super Anti-Spyware will also find some really, really bad spyware and malware on there. So once we're all set with that, we close it. And Malwarebytes does take a little bit of time to finish up here, but we can also minimize. And don't forget, so I'd like to open up Windows Explorer. Let's minimize that. I can Alt-Tab between the programs here, so I can bring Malwarebytes right back up, and there it is. I can also minimize it. Flag M. Everything is all minimized. So anyway, while that is running, a couple of other things that I'd like to go over here is I'd like to talk a little bit about temp files. So temp files, every time you download software, every time you go in and you open up a JPEG or you open up a PDF file on a website, for that file to open up on your computer, it has to save physically somewhere. Where does that save? Right in your profile under a folder named temp files. So let's go in there and let's take a look at where these temp files actually exist. So we're going to go on to the root of C. We're going to go to our users folder. We're going to go into our profile, and from there we're going to go into app data. Then we're going to go into local and click on one of the files and then just type in the letter T. It comes right down in alphabetical order to our temp folder. We double click the temp folder, and this is all the temporary stuff that sits in there. What I like to do is backspace here, hit the back arrow, and I'm going to right click the temp folder and go to properties. And this is only 14.3 megs. This is not much. But if you have never cleaned up your computer, you could see 5 gigs, 10 gigs. You could see a lot, and that's going to slow your computer down considerably. So what I like to do is I do like to copy my temp files, back them up, because like I say, you never know, that rare instance where a program doesn't work, you can get it back. So I'm going to go in here. I'll just highlight one. Control A highlights all of your folders. We're going to click on Edit, copy the folder. We're going to go right up here to the root of C real quick and click on the root of C. We're going to click on Make New Folder, and we're going to name this, whatever your profile name is, Temp Files Backup, and today's date. And we're going to hit Enter and then copy. Now, you don't have to back up your temp files. I want you to realize that. You don't have to. But, you know, it's kind of like a safety net. And myself as a technical person, I like to make sure that I'm covered. So that way I work on someone's computer, and if I cause problems on the computer, it's on me. So this way I have a way of getting it back. There are other ways to get things back. So anyway, then I'm not going to go over this one. We'll just skip that. It's no big deal. Any of these, we can skip some of them. In fact, we'll skip all those ones there. So keeping your temp profile is actually going to be very important. Running all these programs is very important. Malwarebytes. Like I said, it does take some time to run. Another thing I'd like to say, if you're noticing a lot of spyware coming in here, you can actually cancel the scan at any time, and you can clean up what's in there. So let's go and do that, because I'd like to reboot this computer. We're going to cancel it. Nothing's been found anyway, you know. So, and this is a fresh install, so we're not going to find anything on here. So it would actually come up, and it would actually have an option for you to click on, you know, what to do next and what to clean up. Everything should be checked off, and then once it's all clean, you would click finish, and of course you could scan now, you know, anytime. I like to do a couple of scans. All right. Okay. So a couple of last things here that I'd like to mention. I've actually put these icons on the desktop in an order of when you should run these. Now, the CCleaner, you should run that daily. After you've done all your browsing on the internet, clean up your browser, so that way the next day when you come back, it'll be nice and clean, and then you should be good to go on that. The Super Anti-Spyware, I would run that weekly, because like I mentioned, it's going to pick up a lot of your tracking cookies. The Malwarebytes and antivirus, keep in mind that when you run Malwarebytes, once you find something, you can run it again a whole bunch of times. You can run it a few days later, you'll still find nothing. It really will get rid of the really nasty stuff. And then, of course, you know, your antivirus is on a schedule to run, but it's really good to be proactive and run these scans. I would say antivirus every 2 weeks is fine, but you know, anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks would be fine. Just don't forget to, and don't forget to get the updates for them. Okay. So the last thing I'd like to talk about here is when I go to reboot, I like to go in and I like to perform a scan on my actual C drive. All right. I wanted to fix up any errors that may exist, because these programs, malware, spyware, viruses, can cause some pretty interesting problems. So we'd like to make sure that the integrity of our file system is actually good. We're going to right-click the C drive. We're going to go to Properties. I like to close my background window, and we're going to click on Tools. And under Tools, we have Check Now, we have Defragment Now, and we have Backup Now. Very important to remember, do not defrag your hard drive until you have run check disk to check, or check now to check for any hard drive errors. If you run defrag, it was really good to run. It's going to actually put all of the files all in order and make your hard drive perform faster. However, when you run defragment now, it will not check for any hard drive errors or any bad sectors, which is where data physically sits. So we want to make sure that there are no issues on here. We're going to click on Check Now, and we're going to keep the first check mark in here. Always keep just the first one. The second one would do a 5-part check disk and take up to an hour or more. The first check mark will do a 3-part check disk and will actually take about 2 to 3 minutes to run. We click on Start, and it's letting you know that Windows can't check the disk while it's in use. So do we want to schedule this? Absolutely. And it says here, do you want to check for hard drive disk errors the next time you start your computer? Absolutely. We'll click on Schedule Disk Check. It's all scheduled. We'll click on OK, and we're going to close all our programs on our computer, and we are going to restart the computer. And when you restart, it will restart, come up to the logon screen, not to log on, but a little program will come in there. It's kind of a DOS, the old DOS thing. It's like a black screen, and it will do a countdown of 10 seconds to give you a chance to terminate the scan. Once the 10 seconds goes by, it will then do a 3-part scan, and then once the 3-part scan is done, It will automatically reboot. What is check disk going to be checking for? It's going to check for any bad sectors. It's going to attempt to repair the bad sectors. It's also going to check in for what's called cross-linked files. Cross-linked files are portions of a file that are the same but exist in different areas on your hard drive. So when your hard drive is looking for all these pieces, it finds it in two different areas, and it gets confused, so the file doesn't open. So this way, you can see it's important to run check disk. How often should you run check disk? I would say run check disk maybe every 2 weeks to once a month. And there you go. Your computer will be nice and clean. So don't forget to restart the computer at the end here. And Axel?
Again, you can learn all these techniques as well as how to load your operating systems, including how to troubleshoot it at Network Technology Academy. I hope this program was very informative, and thank you for viewing.
Thank you very much.